What is up, family? This is Greg Gadanian, your host, one of the hosts of Sets and Reps Special Edition Nerd Splurge. This is number 2. Remember, Nerd Splurge is the companion, if you will, to my Sets and Reps main podcast. So if you're a fan of the Joe Rogan podcast, he's got like 2,500 episodes, something like that. But he also has the MMA Fight Companion, which he's got 90-something episodes for. So this is similar to that. We talk about completely different topics. Obviously, we don't stray very far from the comic book, superhero, pop culture, movie topics, and we love to talk about that stuff. Me and my friend Josh, we've known each other since first grade, and so we're going to be doing this every 5 episodes, and they're going to be shorter, more digestible, more mainstream, if you will, for some of you guys that may not enjoy the comic book and superhero genre as much as we do, but we want to spread the love because we're so very passionate about it. Today's episode, we kind of got together and we talked about some comic book trivia. We asked each other questions. We had little discussions based on those questions afterward. So you're going to get to hear that. Want to apologize for the background. Still a work in progress. Looking like a maintenance closet or something like that. We got my punching bag in the back. We have the speed bag on the ground. We have the unused computer equipment and my dope freezer in the background. I think you can see a clothing hamper too. Awesome stuff. We still are very glad to have the video version of the podcast now. That's going to be a thing going forward, but also want to just remind you guys that this is not what the setup's going to be. We're going to come up with something cool. Hopefully long term, it's going to be a legitimate studio where I can have a little table set up and I can look at my guests in the eye, have them sit with me, and I can read their soul and find what makes them tick and all that fun stuff. No, just kidding. It's going to be a really good time. But I'm excited to have this episode for you guys. Also want to let you know that all the episodes that come out from here on out, we're going to have one episode each week for 2 weeks in a row. So one episode 1 week, one episode the next week, and then a week completely off. I'm doing that because I'm in the middle of school right now. I've got my clinical rotations for physical therapy assistant. That's going to take a lot of my time up. So this next month, I have a lot of podcasts lined up. I'm going to try to shoot through a whole bunch, record them, have them in the library, and then drop them for you guys in that way. Again, one episode 1 week, one episode the next week, and then 1 week completely off. Okay? That's the way it's going to be for now. I hope everyone's okay with that and just kind of bearing with me in my journey through school while maintaining this side hustle, this side passion of a podcast that I've developed. I want to give a huge shout out to the graphic artist who made that sweet podcast cover. His username is David Technicolor on Instagram. I think you should go check him out. And if you're watching this on YouTube now, the logo for my gregarious YouTube channel, again, the hub for all of my content, the Sets and Reps podcast, this Nerd Splurge special edition, and all the other videos I'm going to post, all on that YouTube. He did the logo too. So leave a like, subscribe, and head on over to the Spotify, Sets and Reps on Spotify, and make sure you're following me there. And then also the podcast is on Audible, Amazon Music too, Apple Podcasts, my Instagram, G Gadanian, GGDANIAN. All of it's there. You can follow it, find me. But again, I just really appreciate you stopping by, viewing, listening, however you're consuming this. It's really great to have you. So I'm going to skedaddle on out of here and let you enjoy the episode. Peace. That's a good idea.
Do some comic book trivia for all our comic
book. Yep. General comic book. And there's some other questions in here that are not all comic book related, but general nerd stuff. This is Nerd Splurge.
Nerd
So
splurge indeed.
that's the name of the game. Why don't you start us off with number one? Let's see what I got.
All right, bro. This is I'm throwing you an easy one here.
Okay.
Who is considered to be the first conventional comic book superhero? Batman, Superman, Captain America, the Human Torch, or Howard the Duck?
I'm gonna go with Superman.
Yeah.
There we go.
Um, yeah, if you look, so I'm kind of a comic book history nerd. I think it's really cool to see how comic books have evolved over the years. And if you look into it all, there are people who will like argue that there were superheroes in comics before Superman. Mostly that's folks like maybe Buck Rogers or like Tarzan, I say. Kind of
Hmm.
like spotty superheroes, but Superman's often considered to be like the the kind of the epitome of what a superhero is like our modern consensus of what a superhero is like.
Absolutely. That nothing beats that iconic Action
Yeah.
Comics cover. I mean, probably one of the well recognized covers.
And here's a bit of a harder bonus question for you, bro. In what year did his first comic come out? 1929, 1934, 1938, 1942, or 2006?
Let me see. 1938 was an option, and so was 1942.
Yep.
I think 1942.
Actually, no.
Wrong.
Actually, it was 1938.
Oh, that was that. Damn, that was a gut.
Yeah,
I
it's
crossed my gut there.
yeah, that's and it's kind of it's definitely a hard one because like comics first started becoming popular during or superhero comics anyways first started becoming popular during World War II.
Yeah,
So
I thought 1942 was like when it was starting, but 1938 must have been closer to the beginning.
yeah, because 1942 is when America really got into the war. But um, so yeah, I see why you think that. Uh, but yeah, Superman, his first comic actually came out in 1938. Though his first, like the conceptions of him started back in the 20s actually, but it wasn't until the late 30s that they actually finalized who he was supposed to be and published the comic.
I see.
What do you got for me, bro?
All right. So, what color was the Hulk when he was originally introduced? Red, green, purple, or gray?
I want to go with gray.
Yup, definitely. And we saw that a little bit. They paid homage to that in the was definitely Iron Man. No, it was Civil War, if I believe, right? Captain America: Civil War, when the giant Hulk Buster Iron Man suit came out, and when Hulk was in that scene, I remember watching some kind of bonus feature or behind the scenes where they said that they were gonna make that version of the Hulk green at that point. Remember when he's going crazy and he almost
Yeah.
destroys the city? At that point, I don't remember what city it was, um, but he was green in that. But the makers of the movie said that they were gonna make him gray, like make him go gray to pay homage to that part, but they changed their mind, I guess.
That would be a kind of a cool Easter egg. I can understand why they wouldn't do it for that scene, but I kind of wish they'd included it somewhere. Like that's just like kind of a cool Easter egg for people who like comics and like, oh yeah, because the Hulk was originally gray. Do you know why they changed his color?
From gray to green,
Yeah.
I don't know. I always know that they made him green. I always thought that was because of gamma radiation being related to the color green. I don't know. Because his character gets exposed to gamma radiation, as you know, and
Yeah.
others know, but it's pretty interesting. I don't know why he was originally.
But like this is the thing about comics I love to look at, to just see how these characters evolve over the years, and especially between different writers. So they're like legends. Like think about like how Robin Hood evolves, and like how like there are so many different versions of Robin Hood. Like there's so many different versions of these characters,
Yeah, exactly.
and it kind of says something about the culture. Depending on like the era that you're looking at a hero, it will tell you something about the culture depending on how that hero acts.
All right, I have another question for you.
All right,
Um, you ready?
I'm ready. Take your
So
best shot.
which Marvel movie features a climactic one-man dance-off to the song "Ooh Child" by the Five Stair Steps? Iron Man, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, or Iron Man 2?
Want to say Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes. I definitely didn't sing it right there. I know if I heard it, I'd be able to recognize it. But I know it's from that movie. And I know that movie liked to have a lot of songs from that era
Hmm.
play. That was one of its strengths, maybe, that
Yeah.
people would say.
That was just like such an interesting like twist for the writers to put in, because they were whole time they were promoting this like what 80s vibe of music, and then for them to actually like incorporate it into like the fight in a way that made like canonical sense was really cool. Just like a neat little twist that they did.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty good. The writers of Marvel are pretty decent.
Yeah, they got some good stuff. Uh, I got another one for you, bro. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
What is the name of Tony Stark's butler? Steve Rogers, Alfred Pennyworth, Edwin Jarvis, Friday, or Clark Kent?
I'm gonna go with Edwin Jarvis,
And you would be right, my friend.
played by Paul Bettany in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Really good actor.
Now, is that the guy who plays like the Vision version, or the one in Peggy Carter? Who?
The Vision version.
Okay, so I know
I
they actually have like Edwin Jarvis in like who's like Howard Stark's butler.
he wasn't in Agents of Shield, was he?
No, he's in Peggy Carter, which is like the like startup of Shield.
Okay. All
But it
right.
was interesting interesting take. I think originally Edwin Jarvis was Howard Stark's butler, then Tony Stark's butler, but then kind of when they retconned Iron Man because uh, essentially World War II got too far away from the present, they had to change how the butler worked.
Yeah. Do you remember what issue they made him? What was he? What point did he become like an AI? I don't remember. You
I don't
might know
know.
this.
I don't know the Marvel eras as well as the DC ones, but I'm
Yeah.
guessing it would have to have been sometime in like the more modern era of comics. I know uh like DC had a big retcon between the golden era and the silver era, where they were like they changed from like having characters who were like had fought in World War II to having like their mainstream characters be like too young to have fought in World War II, but their old like their parents had fought. And I think Marvel did something similar,
Oh,
where
okay.
they moved from having it be canon that the heroes themselves were in World War II to it was like the heroes' parents were in World War II. Or like in Captain America's case, he went on ice.
Huh.
Uh,
Got you. That's an interesting era. I don't know if I've explored. Definitely not with Marvel, but
well, I think it's hard
maybe
because I
with
think a lot
DC.
of that was before. Well, I know at least Captain America was before Marvel.
Oh,
Well,
I've definitely read the original Avengers comic, the original Fantastic Four comic, and Amazing Spider-Man comic for sure.
yeah, I read the the original Amazing Spider-Man. Those ones were really good. I need to look into some of the original Avengers ones. Those seem very interesting.
Can you hear that on? Can you hear something on your end? Never mind.
No, a little bit of
All right.
static.
So, you got one for me, or do you want me to go?
You go. You can go back and forth. That's what I was thinking.
So, what is the best-selling comic book of all time? Superman number 75, Amazing Spider-Man number 583, Batman number 428, or X-Men number 1.
That is a tough
This is
one.
a tough one, yeah.
Can you read me those options again?
Sure. Yeah, Superman number 75, Amazing Spider-Man 583, Batman 428, or X-Men 1. I think I've only ever read one of these. I've probably only read The Amazing Spider-Man 583.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure.
kind of where I'm leaning. Is it Amazing Spider-Man 583?
No, it is not. X-Men 1.
How is X-Men 1 the most widely sold comic?
It says here that X-Men 1 Volume 2 sold over 8.1 million copies, making it the best-selling comic book of all time. Wow. It's pretty good, not gonna lie, but
I'm kind of thrown off because like I wouldn't think that a number one comic would be the best selling comic because I feel like it wouldn't be popular if it's the first one.
maybe it was just so groundbreaking.
Maybe. I mean the X-Men definitely do an interesting idea with kind of taking these. It's kind of like it forms a family out of these misfits, and you kind of see a bit of the personal life of the X-Men as much as their like heroics, which is definitely an interesting take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The movies were okay. The ratio of good movies to bad movies in the X-Men franchise is unfortunately like I would say like I don't know how many there are in total. Is there like 8 in total? 9? And like 4 or 5 of them are good.
I mean,
4 of them.
they do hold a special place in my heart,
Yeah.
but from like a critical like point of view, a lot of them aren't that great. But you gotta love the characters. Like especially the early ones, they do a really good job with the characters. And Hugh Jackman's performance of Wolverine is like
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Unmatched, I think.
Yeah, and
I know that
Patrick
they're
Stewart and Ian McKellen as Professor X and Magneto, respectively, like they just do such a good job.
bringing them to the Marvel universe, but because they were with Sony before. But we'll see how they manage that, and I hope it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of not gonna lie, I kind of liked having the X-Men separate from the regular MCU just because I felt like bringing the two together would kind of be like maybe too much. Just kind of too chaotic. Where I liked like the idea of having the X-Men by themselves. It was like you had this world where the X gene was creating superheroes versus this world where the X gene is just one possible way of creating superheroes. Um, like I don't know, something that I kind of noticed with comic books a lot lately is they're just kind of making a ton of superheroes and they're using either like the X gene in Marvel or the meta gene in DC. And it's kind of one of those scenarios where like if everyone's special, nobody is.
Okay.
Where I feel like they're almost making too many superheroes and they really ought to like dial it back and kind of reinforce that it's really only a few select people who have these powers and it's kind of the struggle that they have.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how they do it. I know that they've been kind of on the back burner. I mean, this Dark Phoenix movie, I haven't seen it. That was the most recent one that they came out with. I've just heard bad things about it. And if they can freshen it up and bring us the characters that we like and maybe hopefully some of the actors that we like, I think they could do a pretty good job. We'll see. I mean, I have big hopes for the Fantastic Four remake as well. I know that they're coming out with both of those. So
is this a third remake?
Yeah, third remake.
Wow.
The second one was nothing to write home about, but it was fun to watch it, a couple parts.
It
a
had
couple
good.
parts of it.
I liked the actors for it. Not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
the storyline was rather subpar. I mean, it was a fine till about like halfway through it, and then they just
Seemed like everything was cut
yeah.
quickly and rushed. And
All right, bro. I got another question for you. We're
what
gonna
you got?
we're gonna switch over to DC here. Who was the first Green Lantern? Like the first one to be chronologically, like the first one to be written. Sorry, like in real lifetime, first one to be written.
Mm,
John Stewart, Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, or Stephen Strange.
I'm gonna go with Alan Scott.
You are correct, my friend.
Stephen Strange, completely different character.
Yeah, completely different.
Not
Uh,
Doctor Strange though. Different character.
no, Stephen Strange is Doctor Strange. Yeah,
Wait, isn't there a character in DC named Stephen Strange?
not that I'm aware of. I don't think so. I threw that option in thinking of the
Anyways,
Doctor Strange kind of as a red herring, but I'm kind of
well, I mean, there is a strange, Mister. There's
oh
some
Hugo
kind of
Strange. Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a
my
villain.
bad. Yeah,
Uh,
boy,
yeah,
that was tough to remember.
I'm kind of I'm glad you got that. I thought Hal Jordan might trip you up because he's often thought to be the first Green Lantern, and he is kind of the first like modern Green Lantern, one that we think of. But the first one to actually be written was Alan Scott.
Yeah, Alan Scott paved the way, if anything.
Yeah, definitely. They kind of did some retcons where Alan Scott isn't like the same kind of Green Lantern as Hal Jordan and John Stewart and the others, but he's still like he was the first idea of he was that first idea of someone who can just like make a construct out of anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny because the next question I have for you was a DC question also.
Okay, I'm ready for this one.
What full-size dinosaur does Batman keep in the Batcave? A Triceratops, Raptor, Brontosaurus, or Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Oh, this one's iconic. This one's the T-Rex, the Tyrannosaurus.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, it's huge and it's green.
It's
I don't
just
know much
like,
else about it.
yeah, at one point I quickly looked up where it came from, but I forgot honestly. But like it's in so many like movies or comics, you see the Tyrannosaurus Rex and you're like, yep, that's the Batcave. Why
Iconic,
would the
yeah,
Batcave not have that?
absolutely.
All right, bro, got a bit of a meta one for you. Which comic book writer is known as the King of Comics? Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Bob Kane, Jerry Siegel, or Walt Disney?
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have you repeat those one time for me.
All right. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Bob Kane, Jerry Siegel, or Walt Disney?
I'm gonna say Jerry Sigil.
Actually, no.
Hmm.
So, do you
Who
want
was
me?
it?
It's Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
So Jerry Sigel is probably one of the first writers of comic books. He's the guy who invented Superman, along with
Joe Schuster.
yeah, Jerry Sigel wrote him. Joe Shuster drew him. But
Okay.
Jack Kirby is known as the King of Comics just because of his large contributions to both Marvel and DC. He created a huge list of characters, which I have a bonus question for you about. Um, he also created Fourth World DC Comics, which is like Darkseid, Orion, the whole New Genesis Apocalypse.
Okay.
He helped to write Thor
Interesting.
and like Captain America and like so he partnered with Stanley for a bunch of different comics. Um, there's there's one Fantastic Four comic where they're brought before God and they represent God as Jack Kirby. Like that's the physical form that God takes in Marvel
That's
comics.
funny. That's too good. That's awesome.
It's pretty hilarious. So yeah, he's known as Jack the King.
Jack the King.
Jack the King Kirby.
All right.
So I got a bonus question for you if you're up for it.
Sure.
So which of these characters did Jack Kirby not help to create? It's a pretty long list, but Ant-Man, Darkseid, Galactus, Human Torch, Iron Man, Mr. Miracle, or Star-Lord?
I'm gonna go with Star Lord.
That is correct. Star-Lord was
Yeah.
a bit too late for Jack Kirby,
Big money.
but all the others he helped. Ant-Man, Captain America, Galactus, Human Torch, Iron Man. Those were definitely early on in comics, and pretty much any superhero that you list who's early on in comics, who's part of DC or Marvel, Jack Kirby had a hand in creating. Pretty much, not all of them. And then Darkseid and Mr. Miracle, they're from Fourth World, Apocalypse and New Genesis, respectively. Anything Fourth World was Jack Kirby.
Okay. Fourth World. We'll have to look into that more because beyond the characters, I haven't read a lot of comics based in that.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I
Verse.
guess it actually started as a concept for Marvel. So in Marvel, they have Thor and the Asgardians as the old gods, and somewhere along the comic timeline, Ragnarok happens and a lot of the gods die. And Jack Kirby originally had planned to out of Ragnarok to produce Fourth World, which would be the new gods, but he moved over to DC before that happened, and so he took that idea of Fourth World and brought it to DC. And I guess the opening panel of Fourth World is one of the closing panels of the Thor Ragnarok series. Like it's the exact same.
Oh wow.
And yeah, Jack Kirby just used the idea of the whole New Genesis apocalypse, and it became part of DC. And Fourth World itself didn't really last all that long as a comic book series, but the characters and the story got a lot of headway because it created Darkseid, who's like the biggest Justice
One of the
League villain.
baddest villains ever.
Yeah,
So cool.
and even the inspiration for Thanos, who's
Yeah.
the big Marvel villain.
Yeah, Darkseid probably came first.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. They like Thanos was actually a ripoff of Darkseid. If you look up his backstory at all.
Yeah, comic book ripoffs are interesting.
Yeah, it happens.
To say the least.
It happens quite a bit.
My favorite is Deathstroke and Deadpool.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty similar.
Because they're both named. They both have the last name Wilson. Literally, Slade is such a badass name, and then Wade is like. I always thought Wade was more of a goofy name, just rhyming with Slade.
Now, who's the ripoff there though?
I would say Deadpool.
So I'm pretty sure it was I gotta look this up now. Who came first? I want to say Deadpool came first, but
I remember Slade Wilson being around from the Teen Titans show.
Actually, I think you're right. I think Deathstroke came first. Deathstroke first appeared in 1980. Deadpool first appeared in 1991.
There we go.
Wow, man! I really thought Deadpool came first. So normally there's this pattern where DC comes up with an idea that's like has potential, but they don't really flesh it out well, and then Marvel comes along and they rip it off, but they do it better. And I thought this was one of the cases where that did not happen, but I was apparently wrong.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Welcome to the comic book industry.
Yeah, I got a whole rant about that, but we don't need to get into that now.
No. Do you have any Teen Titans comics, or have you read any?
I started one, but I don't think I've ever actually finished a Teen Titan comic. I'm kind of intrigued on them, but they're not really like a favorite of mine, to be honest. I'm not opposed to reading them. Just I'd rather read Justice League.
I know there's a few popular ones. There's the Judas Contract,
Yep.
which I've seen around. I just haven't picked it up to read it. I know there's the Death of the Teen Titans.
Yeah, I need to get into some of those. I know they revamped them a lot since the 80s when they originally came out. But it'd be cool to read some of the original comics. Because that's also where you first see Dick Grayson become Nightwing, I want to say, is in the Teen Titans. 'Cause that's when his transformation happens.
There's a death of the family Teen Titans, but I don't think there's a death of Teen Titans. My dad's here.
Hi,
So-
Greg's dad. Do you got any more questions for me?
No, I think that's it for trivia questions.
I got one more for you if you're up for it.
Sure. Yeah.
This one's
for it.
one of my
Shoot it.
favorite. You might have heard this one from me before, but for all the listeners, besides Captain America, who is the only character in all of comics to have wielded both Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer at the same time? Thor, Black Panther, Vision, Beta Ray Bill, or Superman?
Definitely Superman.
Yes, you are correct. That is
That
actually
was a comic.
Superman.
That was a comic I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean,
Yes.
who wouldn't?
That's one of my favorites, but it's my favorite fact that the only other character in comics to have used Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer at the same time is a DC character, and it's actually one of the best comics because Captain America essentially he stays behind to do the tactical for the battle, and so he gives Superman his shield, and while in the fight, Thor starts to go down, and Superman needs to get into the stronghold, so Thor throws him his hammer. And Superman faces off against the big bad with Thor's hammer and Captain America's shield, and it's a good read. If you like some epic fights and some iconic action, mechanic scenes, that's a good one for you. The JLA Avengers comics.
The art for that was crazy too.
I gotta give those another read.
All right. Well, I'd say that's it for trivia. We got a few good questions and we were able to have a good discussion about them. I want to make it so that we have videos like that every once in a while. We just do trivia questions and then spark up a conversation based on those questions.
Yeah, I think we got some good conversation off of those questions. Trivia is just
All right,
like
man.
good conversation starter.
Absolutely. They're facts.
Essentially, yeah.
Facts can be knowable, and you can collect facts. Put them in your bag. Put them in a little wallet.
Yeah.
Carry them around.
No, now you guys know something you didn't an hour ago. I don't know how useful it will be for you in your life, but you can always.
But you're gonna get more of it.
Yep.
Every 5 episodes. Nerd Splurge. I was kind of thinking we should change the name to Nerd Bites.
But Nerd Splurge rhymes is the thing.
It does.
Well, near
There we
rhyme,
go.
anyways.
All right, Josh.
All right,
Maybe
Greg.
what?
Nothing. I was thinking like Nerd Nibbles, but you got to be a real nerd in order to get that joke.
Nerd Nibbles. Kind of sounds like Nerd Nipples. That would be another good one.
Well, you
Free the nerd nipple.
You better edit this out, but you were talking about nerd bytes, and in computer science, a byte is 8 bits, and a nibble is 4 bits.
Oh, word.
And so anyways, That's
We could nerd nibbles.
maybe
That's an idea.
if you like it. This is me just showing off my big nerd status right here. But
All right, nerd nibbles.
nerd nibbles, nerd nipples.
I kind of like it. We'll see how it rolls.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
You too, bro. It was a pleasure as always.